Hello and welcome to our 7-8 Minutes of Weekly Torah Talk. Our guest today is Rabbi Debra Landsberg of the Temple Emmanuel in Toronto. Hello, Rabbi. Thank you for being with us.
My pleasure.
Our Parsha is Vayeshev. In this eventful Parsha, Yaakov, Jacob, settles in Hebron with his 12 sons, including his favorite son, Yosef, whose brothers are jealous of him. Yosef relates to his brothers two of his dreams, which foretell that he is destined to rule over them. Some of them want to kill him, but instead they sell him to a band of passing Ishmaelites, and these take him to Egypt. The brothers dip Joseph's special coat in the blood of a goat and show it to their father, leading him to believe that his most beloved son was devoured by a beast. Judah, has 3 children. The eldest dies young and childless. His wife Tamar is given to the second son, who then also dies. Yehuda is reluctant to let his third son marry her, but Tamar is determined to have a child from Judah's family. So she disguises herself as a prostitute and seduces Yehuda himself. When Yehuda hears that his daughter-in-law has become pregnant, he orders her executed. But when Tamar produces personal effects he left with her, he publicly admits that he is the father. In the meantime, in Egypt, Yosef is sold to Potiphar, a minister in Pharaoh's administration, and Potiphar's wife desires the handsome young adult. When Joseph rejects her advances, she claims that he tried to force himself on her. He is thrown to prison, and in prison he interprets the dreams of 2 other prisoners, also ministers, and his predictions are fulfilled. The first pasuk says, Vayeshev Yaakov be'eretz megurei aviv be'eretz Canaan. Jacob dwelt in the land of his father's sojournings, in the land of Canaan. So, Rabbi, after this long introduction, let's talk about the 2 strong women in this parsha, Tamar and Potiphar's wife. Do you see any connection between these 2?
I do. In a certain way, you see parallels, and the parallels seem to show how opposite they are. The story of the women in the parsha starts when one woman is seen. Yehuda sees a woman who's never named, who becomes his wife. And it's that starting of seeing a woman that starts the story rolling. Tamar is seen for who she is. Yehuda chooses her because he recognizes her righteousness from the very beginning, and that she is identified not by her lineage. Tradition says she's the daughter of Melchizedek. I mean, she's got strong lineage, but she's named only in her own right. And when it comes to her calling her father-in-law on his unrighteous actions, on his withholding from her the Levirate marriage to which she's entitled, she sits at Petach Einayim. She sits where her eyes are open, where she recognizes what she must do. And though what she does is shocking to the modern sensibility, I would say.
Well, the whole procedure is somewhat alien to modern readers.
I'm comfortable with how alien it is to modern readers. And it's, on one hand, one can look at it as a woman's role to carry on the male lineage. If her husband who has died, if he does not have a child, even if she has had many children before, it's to carry on his lineage. But on the other hand, it's to ensure that every woman has a place. And in many places, in Torah and in this world, it still is through the role of mother. We know that Tamar, Tzadika Tamar, we know that the righteous flourished like Tamar. Not just like a tree, but like this woman who brings about Mashiach in her way. The interesting part is the contrast with Potiphar's wife, who also wants what seems to be a strong sexual transgression.
Yeah, presumably both of them are trying to do the same thing, to seduce a strong male character in our narrative.
Yes, absolutely. And the one who is named is the one we should learn from. Potiphar's wife, when she opens her eyes and looks, Vatisa et einaha, she opens her eyes, but she only sees Yosef's beauty. She sees the physical, she sees the outside. She's not drawn towards, though there are traditions that say she read in her horoscope that Yosef was going to have royalty come from him, and she thought if she seduced him, she would be part of the larger story. She wasn't seeing correctly. Her eyes weren't truly opened to her role in the story.
Right. Maybe because she was trying to do something that is illegitimate. And in Tamar's story, Tamar was denied her right to have the third son, and hence had no choice but to seduce Yehuda.
And the text is very clear. I mean, text has Yehuda saying she is more righteous than I. We're not left with any lack of clarity about how to understand her action. I think when it comes to Potiphar's wife as well, we have no uncertainty about how to judge her action. When Avraham identifies Sarah as his sister, though they're married, he identifies the familial relationship. Why? Lest they see how beautiful she is, again, seeing beauty, and they kill me. Adultery was understood not just by the ancient Israelites, but it was recognized, it was seen as sinful. Potiphar's wife, forgive me, should have known better. I think it's Safat Emet who says that sin blocks the sight, sin closes the eyes, as it were. And though she thought she was seeing, that she too could do something that would lead to a glorious future, it was willful lack of sight.
And tell me, as we compare the two women, Tamar and
Yes.
Potiphar's wife, can we also compare the behavior of Yehuda and Yosef? These are two brothers, not in the exact same situation, but in somewhat similar situations. How do they come out of their different stories?
Sure. I think what we see, the difference I would say, is that with Yehuda and Yosef, we see growth and transformation. Yehuda literally descends before he enters into this whole family creation and interlude with Tamar. The text says he goes down. We see him transform and being able to recognize his own error and therefore lift himself up to become the brother he's going to be. And Yosef also has to descend into a pit to be able to rise. He's seeking a transformation with his brothers, but it also takes an inner transformation. The two women, I would say, though fascinating, are relatively static characters. They act, one righteously, one not righteously, but we don't have their inner world opened up for us in the way that I would say we do with Yehuda and Yosef.
Right. And Yehuda essentially or eventually decides not to run away. He admits guilt. Yes. With Yosef, it's more complicated because his role in this interaction with Potiphar's wife is not clear. Was he also suggestively seducing her, or maybe giving her the wrong impression, and that's why she was chasing him?
Sure. I mean, we know there is that rabbinic tradition that holds him accountable. His father is mourning without end, and he starts beautifying himself, right? He pretties himself up and starts dressing the role and the part. And so there is a tradition which lays the blame at his feet and his decisions on it, so that she's responding to this very handsome man's subtle overtures. We know as well the tradition which says he didn't refuse her so quickly. He was very tempted by her, and the midrash which says he had to have a vision of his father's face to allow him to make the right choice. Yehuda had to have a woman show him who he was. That was Tamar, who gave him back his signs of identity. That showed him, this is who you are. Are you going to own up to it? Yosef had to have a vision of his father to decide who he was going to be. Right. And that vision of his father's face allowed him to choose the right action. Not letting down his ancestors, as some of us say.
Right. Rabbi, thank you so much, and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom to you.